is making a film about their families, why don't you? And it was a very daunting kind of a project that he started in 1990 because he was finding that difficult to raise funds because no one thought that my brother would be objective enough to tell a true story about his father. And so halfway through the process, he meets Eric Paul Fournier, who's the director of the film, is telling him the tale of woe, and Eric takes on this project. He's done other documentaries, and finally in 2000 it was finished. Because along the way, my father was, of course, was still living. He didn't pass away until 2005, and of course he's saying, when is this going to be finished? When is this documentary going to be finished? Because he wanted something to be left as a reminder and part of his legacy, because he was so afraid that something like the Japanese American incarceration would happen again. And you know, even though this is like 2019, a lot of these issues are parallels, and that's why the Japanese American community has been strong in standing up for the Muslim and Arab Americans in this country who have been targeted and persecuted just because they look like the enemy, and that's what happened in 1942. So I'm very excited to have you here. Students, thank you for being here and seeing this, because it's like it didn't just happen in history. These are lessons that have not been learned, unfortunately. My father's case, as Greg said, is, the anniversary actually is December 18th in 1944, when the decision came down from the Supreme Court, and we're using this as an opportunity to further the education. Also, my father's 100th birthday was on January 30th of this year, and it's the same day that we have Fred Korematsu Day of Civil Liberties and the Constitution, which is first established in California, is now in Hawaii, and Virginia, and Florida, and New York City. So maybe next they're working on New York. So we hope that will happen, because it is about our civil liberties and the Constitution. And my father was the first in U.S. history to have a statewide, first Asian American in U.S. history to have a statewide day named after him. And that's how we actually teach students the importance of what is an American. What does that mean in this country? And I will say to you that also that when I learned about my father's Supreme Court case, and you'll see that a bit in the film, the other question I asked my father is, can you vote? Because voting was very important to my parents. And so I will also say to you, remember that this is not a throwaway privilege that we have in this country, that when you're 18, that we need to vote, and we need to get everyone to vote. I'm not saying which side of the aisle. It's about the democratic process and what that means today, and we all need to be a part of that, to preserve our democracy. So thank you for being here, and without further ado, of Civil Wrongs and Rights, the Fred Korematsu Story.